This is the fourth problem in the assignment 6, in which we need to will be given a string in a Roman number format, and our task is to convert it to the integer. So for this, I'll be storing key value pairs in an object for each of the Roman number format, like this, and for x it is 10, L it is 50, for C it is 100, and for M it is 1000, and D is 500. So here the concept is simple. So let's say we have this string and we need to find the integer for this. Here what we'll be doing is we'll start iterating from the last index and moving to the starting. So what we'll be doing here is we'll keep adding the numbers from the last to the starting index. So for this, first we have v, which is 5. Now if the previous number is greater than the current number, then we will be subtracting the current number from the previous one. So first we have v, which is 5, and now we have I. So I is 1, which is less than 5. So we'll be subtracting it from the 5, which becomes 4. And now it is x is 10, which is greater than the previous one. Previous one is 1. So we'll be adding it to the 4, which becomes 14. So 14 is the integer for this Roman number format. So the only thing we need to remember here is if the previous number is greater than the current number, then we need to subtract it, or if it is lesser, then we just keep adding it. So let's write the code for this. Function convert to int, and we'll be given a string as in a Roman number format, and I'm writing it as Roman. So this is just a string, and we need to declare this object. So in the object we have I as 1, B as 5, X, L, C, D, and M. And we'll need to have one variable called previous, so that we will be able to check the previous value if it is greater or lower than the current one, so that we'll know if we need to add the number to the result or we need to subtract it. So initially just I'm initializing it to 0, and we'll have we need to have a variable to get the result. So I'm declaring it as integer value, and I'm initializing it to 0. So now I'll use a for loop, and for loop starts from the last index. So Roman dot length minus 1, and I greater than or equals to 0, I minus minus, if object of Roman of I is less than the previous, Then what we'll be doing is from integer value we'll be subtracting the object of Roman of I, and we'll update the previous value to current value. Else if it is not less than the previous value, we just need to add it to the integer value. Roman of I, and here also we need to update the previous Roman of I. And finally, once we finish all this for loop, we need to return integer value, int value. So this is the code for getting the integer value. Let's take this example and see if the code works. So MCMXCIB. So we'll be starting from the last index, which is 5. In the int value we have 5. Now we go to the second one, which is 1, and 1 is less than the 5, so we need to which is in the previous we'll have 5. Now the I becomes the I becomes decremented, and here we have I, which is 1, and 1 is less than the previous, so we need to subtract it from the integer value. So it becomes 5 minus 1 equals to 4. Then we have I is decremented, and we have C is 100, which is 100 is greater than the previous value. So in the previous value we have 1. Now we'll be adding to the integer value, which is 4. We'll be adding the 100, which becomes 104, and the previous becomes 100. Then I is decremented, which is X. X is 10, and 10 is less than the previous value. So in the previous we have 100, and 10 is less than the previous, so we need to subtract it from the integer value. So 104 minus 10 becomes 94, and now the I is decremented. It is M is 1000. So 1000, here the previous is 10, and the 1000 is greater than 10, so we need to add to the int value, which is 94. We will be adding 1000, which becomes 1094, and previous we need to update the previous to 1000. Now the I is decremented, and it is C is 100. 100 is less than 1000, so we need to subtract it from the integer value. If we subtract it, it becomes 994, and the previous becomes 100. Then the I is decremented, it becomes M is 1000, so we need to add to the 994. We'll add 1000, which becomes 1994, and now the I becomes I should be greater than or equals to 0. If we decrement the I, it becomes -1, so the for loop will be ending here, and finally we need to return the integer value, which is 1994. So this is the our required output. So this is the code for converting the Roman number format to the integer value. Thank you.